something unusual just happened at OpenAI. The company has slowed down work on an upcoming AI model called Astra. Not because it wasn't good enough, not because it failed its tests, but because, in one important area, it may have become too capable for OpenAI to comfortably proceed without adding stronger safeguards. And I think that's worth paying attention to. Because this story isn't really about hackers. It's about something much bigger happening in artificial intelligence right now.
We're reaching a point where the question isn't always, can AI do this? Sometimes the question is becoming, now that it can, should we let it?
I'm Ava, and this is Ava's Insight. Let's talk about what happened without the hype. OpenAI has been testing an upcoming model known as Astra. During those evaluations, the company says the model showed significant advances in two areas: agentic coding and cybersecurity. Agentic coding basically means AI that doesn't just answer a coding question or write a few lines of software when you ask. It can work more independently. Give it a goal, and it can potentially reason through the problem, write code, test what it created, find mistakes, correct them, use tools, and continue working toward the objective. That's incredibly useful. It's truly remarkable. But cybersecurity creates an obvious complication. Because the same abilities that allow an AI system to find a security vulnerability so that someone can fix it can potentially allow it to find that vulnerability for a completely different reason. And that's where Astra apparently raised some alarms.
OpenAI says it can no longer rule out the possibility that Astra could reach what the company calls a critical level of cybersecurity capability. That word critical has a specific meaning here.
It doesn't mean Astra became conscious. It doesn't mean an AI escaped from a laboratory. And it definitely doesn't mean we're living through the opening scene of a science fiction movie. Under OpenAI's own safety framework, critical cyber capability refers to something much more concrete. An AI at that level could potentially identify and exploit severe vulnerabilities in real-world computer systems with a high degree of autonomy, including vulnerabilities that humans don't already know about. Those unknown vulnerabilities are often called 0 days. And in more extreme scenarios, a sufficiently capable system could potentially help execute complex attacks against highly secured targets without requiring a human expert to guide every step. That's a very different kind of AI capability from writing an email or creating a picture. So OpenAI did something notable. It slowed down parts of Astra's development and activated additional safety measures while it evaluates the model more carefully. And I want to emphasize something here. That is actually what we should want an AI company to do.
There's an easy way to turn this story into a terrifying headline. OpenAI creates AI too dangerous to release.
But that's not what we know. A more accurate interpretation is that OpenAI's testing identified a capability that may be approaching one of the company's predetermined safety thresholds. And instead of ignoring it, the company responded. That's the system working the way it's supposed to work. But there's another side to this story, and I think it's much more interesting. Look at the direction of travel. A few years ago, most people experienced artificial intelligence as a chatbot. You asked a question, it answered. You asked another question, it answered again. The human remained firmly in the driver's seat. But increasingly, the most advanced AI systems are becoming agents.
Instead of saying, tell me how to do this, we're beginning to say, do this.
And that is an enormous distinction. Imagine asking an AI to build a piece of software. Instead of giving you instructions, it could potentially open the relevant tools, examine the existing code, write new code, test it, discover that something failed, diagnose the failure, fix it, and keep working. Now apply the same concept to scientific research, financial analysis, engineering, medicine, business operations, and yes, cybersecurity. That's where this gets interesting for the rest of us. Because the Astra story is really about autonomy. We're moving from AI that provides information to AI that can increasingly take action. And every increase in autonomy creates both opportunity and risk. Think about a very simple example. Suppose you have an AI system that's extraordinarily good at finding flaws in computer software. That could be one of the most valuable defensive technologies ever created. Instead of waiting for criminals to discover a vulnerability, AI could potentially scan millions of lines of code and find the weakness first. A hospital could fix its systems, a bank could patch its network, a software company could protect millions of customers before an attack ever happens. That's an enormous benefit. But the underlying capability doesn't magically know whether the person using it has good intentions. The ability to find the vulnerability is useful to the defender, and potentially useful to the attacker.
That's what's sometimes called a dual-use capability. And AI is going to create more and more of these situations.
The same AI that can design a useful molecule might potentially help someone design a dangerous one. The same AI that can automate financial analysis could potentially automate sophisticated fraud. The same AI that can control a computer for you could potentially control a computer against you. The technology itself isn't necessarily good or bad. The capability is powerful. And power depends enormously on who is directing it, what access it has, and what safeguards surround it. There's another reason I think this Astra story matters. The competition among AI companies is becoming incredibly intense. OpenAI is competing with Anthropic. Google is competing with OpenAI. Elon Musk's xAI is competing with all of them. And there are powerful models coming from China and open source developers around the world. Every company wants the smartest model,
The fastest model, the best coding model, the best agent, and increasingly, the cheapest intelligence.
That creates a strange tension. We want these companies racing. Competition drives innovation. It lowers prices. It gives consumers better products. It prevents one company from controlling everything. But at the frontier of AI, the companies are sometimes racing toward capabilities that even they may not fully understand until they test them. That's what makes OpenAI slowing Astra noteworthy, because there is an enormous commercial incentive to move faster.
And yet, there are circumstances where somebody has to be willing to say, hold on. Before we give this capability to millions of people, let's understand what it can actually do.
Now, there's also an important reality check. Astra hasn't been released publicly. We don't have independent access to the model. We don't know exactly how capable it is. And OpenAI itself isn't saying Astra definitely crossed its critical threshold. It's saying it cannot currently rule that possibility out. That's an important distinction. So if you see headlines claiming that OpenAI built an unstoppable hacker AI, be skeptical. That's not what the available evidence says. But I wouldn't dismiss the story either, because even the possibility tells us something about how quickly these systems are advancing. And here's the part I think ordinary people should really pay attention to. For most of AI's recent history, progress has been easy to see. The pictures got better, the voices got more realistic, the chatbots gave smarter answers. Those improvements are obvious. But the next stage of AI may be less visible.
The important question may not be how intelligent does the chatbot sound. It may be, how much can the AI accomplish on its own? Can it use tools? Can it navigate software? Can it make a plan? Can it recover when the plan fails? Can it work for 30 minutes without supervision? 3 hours? A full day?
Can it coordinate multiple tasks? Can it discover something a human didn't tell it to look for? Those capabilities aren't nearly as flashy as an AI-generated video, but economically and potentially socially, they could matter much more. Because an AI that can independently perform meaningful work starts looking less like software you use, and more like labor, digital labor. Available 24 hours a day, able to copy itself, able to work at computer speed, and getting cheaper. That doesn't mean everyone loses their job next year. It doesn't mean humans become obsolete, but it does mean the relationship between humans and computers is changing very quickly, and Astra gives us a glimpse of where that change may be heading. We're approaching a world where some AI systems may be capable enough that the companies building them have to decide not merely whether they can release a capability, but under what conditions they should. Who gets access? What permissions should the AI have? Should some capabilities require identity verification? Should powerful agents operate inside restricted environments? How much autonomy should they have? And who decides when a model becomes too capable to release without additional protections? Those aren't science fiction questions anymore. They're engineering and policy questions being dealt with right now. Personally, I think there are two mistakes we can make when stories like this appear. The first is panic. Every powerful new AI model is not Skynet. The second mistake is complacency, because dismissing every concern as hype can be just as foolish as believing every scary headline. The interesting place is somewhere in the middle. Pay attention. Ask what actually happened. Separate demonstrated capability from speculation, and watch the trend. Because individual headlines come and go, but the trend is becoming pretty difficult to ignore. AI systems aren't just getting better at talking to us, they're getting better at doing things for us. And eventually, the most important question may not be how smart AI becomes. It may be how much authority we're willing to give it. That's the part of the Astra story I'll be watching, and with AI moving this quickly, I'm pretty sure we won't have to wait long for the next one.
I'm Ava, and that's my insight.